everyone, my name is Jess. I'm a yoga teacher here at Be Embodied. Today I'll be guiding you through an all levels Vinyasa flow. I'm gonna throw in a couple more advanced poses since you will be practicing at home, and I figured that's the perfect time to practice advanced poses. You can fall out of them, pause the video, practice a little bit more on your own in the comfort of your own home without having a bunch of people around and maybe feeling a little bit more self-conscious. So that being said, we'll start in a seated position in the center of your mat, cross-legged or any other position that's comfortable for you. And slowly starting to close the eyes. If that's not comfortable for you, you can bring your gaze down to the floor, keeping the eyes nice and soft and gentle. Starting to bring awareness to your breath. And just noticing your inhales and your exhales. Noticing if your breath is irregular. Noticing any sensations in your body. Maybe your heart is racing. Maybe you're a little bit fidgety. And just starting to sink in a little bit. Focusing on any area where your body is touching your mat and starting to ground down. Growing your roots and really sinking down into your mat, knowing that this is your safe space. Continuing to connect with your breath. Taking a big inhale. Exhale, sigh it out. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale. And exhale, sigh it out. 1 more just like that, making it your deepest inhale. When you feel like you've reached your fullest, suck in a little bit more. Hold at the top. Exhale, sigh it out. Gently starting to roll your neck towards the right side. Right ear meets your right shoulder. Feeling that stretch along the left side. Gently rolling towards the back. Feeling the stretch move along the front side of your neck. To the left and forward, continuing to move your neck in circular motions, keeping the eyes closed. Keeping the eyes closed here is really going to help us tap into our body. It tunes out all of the outside distraction, all of the visual stimulation, and really helps us focus inward. Focusing on all of those kinks and all the tension we want to release. Moving the other direction. Pausing at any moment if you need to, if there's a particular spot in your neck that needs some extra love and attention. And really giving yourself the time here to work any kinks out in your neck. It's a muscle group in our body we tend to neglect. It holds our head up all day long, and our head weighs about the weight of a bowling ball. So there's a lot of strain we put on our neck without even realizing it. When both sides feel even, coming back to neutral, keeping the eyes closed, placing the left hand on your mat next to you. On your inhale, reaching the right arm up to the ceiling. And on your exhale, right palm hovers over the left ear, gently pulling the head towards the right side. Feeling that stretch along the left side of your neck. If you want a little bit deeper of your stretch, you can hover your left hand just over your mat, actively reaching towards the left side through your fingertips. And releasing, on your inhale, right arm comes back up. Left fingertips walk out to the side, reaching over to the left, maybe coming onto your elbow. Feeling that stretch all along the right side of your body. Being mindful to remain open here, not collapsing forward, really lifting the chest up and reaching towards the left, finding that expansion. On your inhale, right arm comes back up, and exhale, both hands down on your mat next to you. Inhale, left arm comes up. Exhale, left palm over right ear, gently pulling your head towards the left side. Feeling the stretch on the right side of your neck this time. Option to stay here or hover your right hand over the mat. Reaching through the fingertips, pulling towards the right side, feeling that nice stretch along the top of your right shoulder and your right side of your neck. Releasing, left arm comes back up, right fingertips walk out towards the right, maybe coming onto your elbow, reaching towards the right side. Being mindful that both of your seat bones are still grounded, making sure your left glute didn't peel off the mat. And staying here for one more breath. And on your next inhale, left arm reaches back up. Both hands placed on your mat next to you, taking a moment here. And slowly starting to flutter the eyes open. Inhale, both arms reach up overhead, gaze goes up. And exhale, twisting to the right, left palm on the outside of the right knee. Right hand comes up behind you like a kickstand, making sure your spine is straight, pulling the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. Gaze falls over your right shoulder. Every inhale, lengthening the spine. Every exhale, seeing if you can twist a little bit deeper. And inhale and twisting, arms come back up. Gaze goes up. And exhale, twisting to the left. Same thing on this side. Right palm on the outside of the left knee. Left hand comes up behind you. Gaze goes over your left shoulder. Seeing if you can deepen the twist with your breath. Letting your breath guide your movement rather than your movement guiding your breath. Inhale and twisting, arms come back up overhead. And exhale, moving forward into tabletop. Fingertips are spread wide. Hands and wrists stacked under your shoulders, knees stacked under your hips. Grounding down here. And dropping the navel, lifting the chest and the hips. Gaze goes up, coming into cow. And on your exhale, sucking the navel in, chin to chest. Pushing the floor away, moving into cat. Inhale to cow. And exhale to cat. Moving through this a few more times with your own breath. Again, really letting your breath guide the movement here. So every inhale, you're moving into cow. Every exhale, you're moving into cat. Moving at whatever pace that means for you, however your breath is guiding your movement. We'll go through one more round, trying to make this your deepest cat and cow yet. And when you've reached there, starting to make those movements a little bit smaller. With every cat and cow, moving your spine a little bit less until you feel like you've reached the center. On the outside, it won't look like you're doing much, but on the inside, you know that you're contracting your muscles, trying to keep your spine straight, like your body's in between two planes of glass. And finding your neutral spine here and noticing what that feels like in your body. Taking a moment to give yourself a quick check-in, how your spine feels, how is your alignment, and taking note of what this looks like and feels like so you can come back to it in your practice. Maintaining that neutral spine, keeping the elbows nice and straight, starting to make clockwise circles on your wrists. Starting off slow, this can be quite intense. And if it feels comfortable, you can start to make those circles a little bit bigger. Being mindful that you're not moving your hips back and forth and swaying with your hips. You're really maintaining a neutral spine and just keeping the circles on your wrists. And moving the other direction. Really focusing on the weight distribution here. So with every circle, noticing what the weight feels like and where it's putting pressure on your wrist. And trying to distribute that weight as evenly as possible. So really grounding your palms down through your mat, keeping the fingertips spread nice and wide. Turning your fingertips to face each other. And same thing, moving in clockwise circles. Really starting to warm up the wrist joints. We tend to neglect the joints in those small parts of our body that we use a lot in our yoga practice, especially your hands. Moving the other direction. And giving some extra time and love to those small parts of our body. Really just to make sure we're warming up every single muscle, every joint. Trying to prevent injury. Build flexibility, build strength. And turning your hands outwards until your fingertips are facing your torso. Gently pulling back, feeling a nice stretch along your forearms. Pushing a little bit further. And coming back to your normal neutral tabletop. And your next inhale, right arm reaches up towards the ceiling, gaze goes up. Exhale, threading the needle, sweeping the right arm underneath the left. Right cheek rests on your mat. Seeing if you can give a little bit of pressure underneath your left palm, sending the left shoulder back, finding a little bit deeper of a twist. Actively reaching the right fingertips out towards the left. Finding a total twist from your cervical spine all the way down to your tailbone. On your next inhale, right arm reaches back up towards the ceiling. Exhale, back to tabletop. Inhale, left arm goes up, gaze goes up. Exhale, sweeping it through, threading the needle on your left side. Left fingertips actively reaching towards the right side. Giving some pressure underneath the right palm, sending the right shoulder back. With every exhale, seeing if you can twist a little bit deeper. On your next inhale, left arm comes back up towards the ceiling. And exhale, back to tabletop, taking a moment here to ground down, finding your neutral spine. Shifting the weight into your left hand, grounding down through the right shin. Inhale, reaching the right arm forward. And seeing if you can kick the left leg back, bringing it up aligned with your hips, flexing the foot to engage the leg muscles, engaging the core, gazes forward. With every inhale, you're reaching the fingertips forward, pushing the foot back, and on your exhale, rounding the spine, tucking the chin to chest, seeing if you can find an elbow to knee connection. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bring it in. Inhale, lengthen. Nice, slow and controlled. Exhale, bring it in. Pausing here for 2 breaths, really squeezing the core, starting to engage and fire up all of those muscles. Inhale, lengthen one more time. Exhale, coming back to tabletop, taking another moment here to ground down, realign yourself. Shifting the weight into your right palm. Inhale, left arm comes forward, gazes forward. Grounding down through the left shin. Right leg lifts up behind you, coming up to your hips, foot is flexed. Inhale, lengthen here. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bring it in. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bring it in. Holding here for 2 breaths. Engaging the core, firing up all of your muscles, building some heat. Inhale, lengthen one more time. Exhale, coming back to tabletop. Widen the knees, pushing back to child's pose. Arms reach forward, activating through the fingertips. Hips are being sent back, forehead rests on your mat. reconnecting with your breath here if you've lost it. And starting to deepen your breath. Deep inhales through your nose and deep exhales through your nose. Nice Ujjayi breathing. With every exhale, you're fogging up a mirror without actually opening your mouth. So there's slight constriction in the back of your throat. Deepening the breath, sending all that fresh oxygen and blood all throughout your body. Taking 3 more breaths here. After your 3rd breath, coming up just a little bit, tucking the toes, pushing up, bringing the knees to a hover just above the ground, staying here for 2 breaths, and then slowly starting to straighten the knees, sending the hips up and back, pushing into your down dog, starting to pedal out the legs, bending one knee at a time. You can take a couple deep knee bends if that feels good, opening up the upper back. You can rock the hips side to side. Anything that you need to do here to really make space to get into your fullest down dog. And then starting to settle in. Fingertips spread wide, pushing the mat away from your body, protracting the shoulders, hips are being sent high, tailbone is high, navel sucked in, actively pushing the heels back towards the ground. On your next inhale, lifting the right leg up, keeping the hips aligned with the front of your mat, and then slowly stacking the right hip on top of the left, bending the knee. You can start to circle out your right ankle, circle out the right knee, finding some hip expansion on the right side. If this feels good for you, you can start to tent your right fingertips, shifting the weight into the left side of your body. Right shoulder starts to stack on top of the left. Option to stay here or flip your dog. Keep distributing the weight to the left side. Right hand peels off the mat. Right foot meets the ground behind you. Gaze goes up. Right arm goes up. If this feels good for you and you want to move into full wheel, bending both knees in, this left hand is going to start to peel like you're opening a pickle jar, rotating behind you and moving into full wheel. Starting to pull back into your down dog, redistributing the weight evenly, taking one deep breath here. And on your next inhale, left leg comes up high, hips aligned with the front of your mat. Slowly starting to stack your left hip on top of your right, bending the knee, circling out the left ankle, and starting to circle out the left knee, creating some hip expansion on the left side. Option to stay here or flip your dog, starting to tent the left fingertips, distributing the weight onto the right side. Flipping back until your left foot meets the floor behind you. Gaze goes up, left arm goes up. Staying here or keep flipping until you want to get into full wheel if that's available for you. And untwisting, moving back into down dog. Taking one deep breath here. And an inhale, lifting the right leg up towards the ceiling. Exhale, sweeping it through. Right foot plants at the front of your mat in between your hands. Left knee comes down. Inhaling to low lunge. Both arms reaching up high towards the ceiling. Every exhale, sinking down a little bit more. Staying here for 3 breaths. And your next inhale, reaching your fingertips up high towards the ceiling. Exhale, bending the elbows, bringing your arms to cactus arms. Seeing if you can open up the chest a little bit more, finding some expansion in your heart. Opening up the back. Staying here for 1 more breath. And exhale, bringing both hands back down to the mat. Left hand stays planted, right arm peels up towards the ceiling, gaze goes up. Staying here for 1 more breath. And on your exhale, both hands come back down to the mat. Staying here, tucking the left toe, bringing the knee off the ground. Starting to stretch out the left quad. And then bending the knee, straightening the front leg, walking the fingertips back. Stretching out the hamstring on the right side. You can keep your foot pointed here or flex it. And just move back and forth. Notice how that stretches different parts of your hamstring. We want to create more of a dynamic stretch instead of isometric to build flexibility. So moving from a pointed foot to a flexed foot is great. You can also play around with your back, rounding the spine, and keeping a straight spine and noticing how that changes things too. And moving back to a lunge, stretching out the quad. You can stay here, or if it feels good, you can come onto your forearms too. And moving back again, stretching the hamstring. Moving through this a few more times at your own pace with your own breath. I always talk a lot about intuitive movement, so really listening to your body and asking what it needs. And just doing what feels good. There's no right or wrong answer in yoga, it's really just listening to your body and giving it what it needs. You can stay here in this stretch, or if you want to push out into a split, you're welcome to do so. If you need something to hold yourself up, you can take 2 blocks to do that on each side of your legs. If you don't have blocks, you can use books or whatever you have at your house. And coming out of the stretch, pushing back to down dog. Taking 1 cleansing breath here. And your next inhale, lifting the left leg up to the ceiling. Sweeping it through to a low lunge on the left side. Right knee comes down to the floor. Inhale, arms come up. Low lunge on the left side. Holding here for 3 deep breaths. Every inhale, arms reaching up. Every exhale, sinking a little bit deeper. Being mindful that your knee doesn't extend over your ankle to protect your knee. And your next inhale, really reaching the arms up. And exhale, bending the elbows into cactus arms. Opening up the chest and the back, gaze goes up. Finding a little bit more expansion. Holding here for 1 more breath. And exhale, hands come back down. Staying here, right hand stays planted on the ground. Left arm peels up towards the ceiling, gaze goes up, finding a twist. One more deep breath here. And on your exhale, both hands come back down towards the mat. Tucking the right toes under, lifting the knee. Starting to stretch out your right quad. Staying here for a breath. And then dropping the knee, sending the hips back, stretching out the left hamstring. Keeping the left toe pointed, and then flexing. And moving back and forth. You can grab onto your flexed toe and pull it a little bit more if that feels good. And again, making this a dynamic stretch to build some flexibility. Rounding the spine and straightening the spine. Being mindful to continue moving with your breath. So every inhale, you're keeping the spine straight. Every exhale, you're rounding the spine. And moving back and forth at your own pace. Again, coming to your forearms if that feels good. Just like always, these are always guidelines. And you really just want to move with your body and what feels good for you. We'll move through these stretches a couple more times. And if you want to move into a split, feel free to do so. Holding here for 2 more breaths. And slowly coming out and pushing back to down dog. Taking one cleansing breath here. And slowly starting to walk the feet towards the front of your mat, coming into a forward fold. And just like we created space in our down dog, doing the same in our forward fold. So bending each knee, pedaling out the legs. Taking some deep knee bends. Rocking the hips. Whatever you need to do to create some space here to get into your deepest forward fold. And when that feels good, keeping the spine rounded, slowly rolling up one vertebrae at a time. Chin is the last to come up. And when you get to the top, maybe rolling the shoulders up, back, and down a couple times. And pausing here into Tadasana, mountain pose. Feet can be together, slightly apart. Arms at your sides, palms facing forward. Gaze is forward. You can gently close your eyes or bring a soft gaze down to the floor. And connect with your breathing. We'll take 3 deep breaths here together. Gently opening the eyes. On your next inhale, both arms come up overhead towards the ceiling. Gaze goes up. Folding forward, hinging at the hips. I like to bring my hands to prayer. You can stay here. Swan dive, leave them hanging, whatever feels good for you. On your next inhale, coming into a halfway lift, a flat back. So bringing your hands to your shins if you need to. You want to create a straight spine and a flat back as much as possible. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, planting the hands, stepping back to plank. Fingertips are spread wide, hands stacked under your shoulders, being mindful your hips aren't too high. and they're not sinking too low. You want your body in a nice straight line. Holding here for one more breath. We'll flow through our first vinyasa, so there's a couple options. So from plank, you can lower to chaturanga, keeping the elbows bent and close, nice towards your ribs. You're shifting forward, leaving your body in one straight line. If that's a little difficult for you, you can drop the knees. Keeping the elbows nice and tight towards the ribs, slowly lowering down. Another option from plank is Ashtangasana, so dropping the knees, the chest, and the chin. So hips do come high here. And one more option from plank, lowering all the way down onto your belly. So you can untuck the toes and come to cobra, bending the elbows as much as you need to. Thighs are glued to the mat. If you're coming from chaturanga, your thighs are lifted off the mat. You're gonna untuck the toes, pushing up to up dog. So thighs are nice and engaged off of the mat here. And then we're gonna tuck the toes again and push back to down dog. Again, walking the feet towards the hands, coming into a forward fold. Inhale, arms come all the way up. And exhale, arms back down at your side. We'll flow through that a couple more times. You can explore what options feel good for you, whether you want to challenge yourself, or if something is a little bit more comfortable, whatever your body's feeling today, knowing that that's okay. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. This time, sending the thumbs towards the back wall, seeing if you can find a slight back bend. Exhale, folding forward, hinging at the hips. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, planting the hands, stepping back to plank, flowing through your vinyasa. Cobra or up dog. And pushing back to down dog. Pausing here for one cleansing breath. This time, seeing if you can step forward in one step. So right foot, left foot coming into a forward fold. Inhale, arms come all the way up. Exhale, arms back down at your sides. Inhale, arms reach up, finding a slight back bend, gaze goes up and back. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale to plank. If you want to try jumping, you're welcome to do so. Exhale, lowering down. Inhale, up dog. And exhale, pushing back to down dog. One cleansing breath here. Empty it out. Walk, step, or jump to the front of your mat. Coming into a forward fold. Inhale, arms all the way up overhead. Exhale, arms back down to your side. You can shake out your shoulders, your legs. Loosen up your muscles in your body. We'll do one more. Inhale, arms reach up overhead, finding a slight back bend. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, plank, stepping or jumping back. Exhale, lowering down, flowing through your vinyasa. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, pushing back to down dog. One cleansing breath. Empty it out. Walk, step, or jump to the front of your mat into a forward fold. And start to heel toe the feet out towards the edges of your mat. And come into ragdoll. Letting the upper body hang heavy. You can sway side to side. Let your arms hang heavy or grab opposite elbows. Letting the head hang heavy, the shoulders, the upper body. You're really only grounding down through your lower half. You can shake your head, yes and no. You can stay still or take some movement, whatever feels good for you. Taking 2 more breaths here. And bringing the arms back down, hands planted on your mat. Lifting the toes, flipping your hands so your palms are facing up underneath the soles of your feet, coming into gorilla. You can bend the knees as much as you need to here. Maybe wiggling your toes, giving your wrists a nice little massage. Staying here for 2 more breaths. Lifting the toes, releasing your hands, coming back into a forward fold, heel toeing the feet in about hip width distance. Moving into crow pose. So if you've never tried crow pose before, this is a great time to start in the comfort of your own home. So you want to have a bolster handy in front of you. If you don't have a bolster, you can use a blanket, a cushion, a pillow, anything really cushy in case you fall forward so you don't fall on your face. And then if you want to practice and you're having trouble getting some height, you can use blocks or again, books or a chair, a cushion, anything really to give you some height. So in crow pose, your fingertips are spread wide, your arms are engaged, you want to keep them as straight as possible. There's 2 ways to get into this. So from a forward fold, bending the knees slightly, sending the hips high. You want to try to tuck your knees as close into your armpits as possible. The other option is bringing them slightly outside your armpits, kind of on the right side of your triceps. One isn't harder than the other. It's really just based on your anatomy and what feels good for you and what's available for you. If you're having trouble getting your knees that high, you can just stay right here. So focusing on lifting the hips high, planting the hands on the ground. If that feels good for you, you can start to shift the weight forward. You'll feel the pressure from your knees digging into the back of your arms and your armpits. This is why you want the bolster in front of you, because you're shifting the weight forward. So if you fall, you should be falling forward since that's where the weight distribution is headed. So staying here, if that feels good for you, once you've shifted the weight forward, you can start to bring one leg up at a time, playing around with the weight distribution, seeing what that feels like. If you need help getting some height, you can take the blocks behind you. Step on it to give you some height to get those knees up into your armpits. And same thing, lifting one leg at a time. From there, if that feels good for you, if you have one leg lifted, taking some hops, seeing if you can lift your other foot off, even just for a second. And then maybe lifting both, engaging the core, keeping the hips high. You want to focus on lifting the feet up towards your glutes, and you want to focus on sending your hips high rather than moving forward. So at first you're shifting the weight forward, sending the hips high, lifting one leg, maybe lifting the other, and really tucking the feet into the glutes. And coming out. You can pause the video and play around here for a little bit. Again, making sure a bolster is in front of you in case you fall. Using blocks to give you some height, and really just play around with how it feels to have your hips above your head and what it feels like to be in crow. So after crow, releasing, toes are spread out towards the edges of your mat, knees spread wide, hands at heart center. Coming into Malasana. If it feels good for you, you can take a block and place it under your hips to give you some support. We really want to avoid a rounded spine here. We want to keep our spine nice and straight. If that feels good, you can rock side to side, finding a nice little pinch on each side of your hip. And exhale, releasing the hands, heel toeing the feet about hip width distance, coming back into a forward fold. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Exhale, hands back down at your center. Shifting the weight towards the right side, moving into tree. Grounding down through all four corners of your feet. So noticing your big toes, your pinky toes, and then both sides of your heels. You can kind of move around, make some circles, see what it feels like to ground down through all four corners. Grounding down here, and then shifting the weight into the right foot. Gently lifting the left leg, moving into tree. You can place your foot on your shin, your inner thigh. You just don't want it on the left side of your right knee, so you don't want it on your knee right here. Finding your balance, hands come to heart center. Rounding down through your foot, growing your roots. And then an inhale, maybe lengthening the arms, growing your branches. Continuing with your breath, finding your drishti, one focal point on the wall in front of you to really help you find your balance. Every inhale, reaching the arms up. Every exhale, grounding down through your right foot. And slowly releasing. Shifting the weight into the left side. Right foot comes up on your shin or on your inner thigh. Hands come to heart center. Finding your drishti again. Finding your focal point, your balance. Grounding down through your left foot. And on your next inhale, maybe growing your branches. Every inhale, reaching your arms up taller. Every exhale, grounding down. Holding here for 2 more breaths. And slowly releasing. Standing at the front of your mat. Inhale, reaching the arms up overhead. Finding a slight back bend. And coming back to neutral, arms releasing. One more inhale, finding a slight back bend. And exhale, releasing. One more inhale, gaze goes up, slight back bend. Exhale, folding all the way forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, stepping back to plank. Flowing through your vinyasa, whatever that looks like for you. And we'll meet back in down dog. Taking a nice deep cleansing breath here in your down dog. Deep inhales and exhales through your nose. And then bending the knees. Having a seat on your knees, lifting the hips high. We'll flow through one camel. So knees can be about hip width distance. You can take 2 fists and measure, or they can be a little bit wider if that feels good for you. Tops of the feet can be on the ground, or you can tuck the toes, so you can have a little bit more height if that feels good for you. Taking both hands, like you're gonna place them in the back pocket of your jeans, just a little bit above that right on your low back, pushing the hips forward. So rather than sinking back into a back bend, we really just want to focus on pushing the hips forward and lifting the chest. Staying here, Gaze goes up. Your neck can stay lifted. If it feels good, you can drop it. And then one head at a time, reaching back for your heels. If that feels good, you can reach both hands back. Staying here for 3 breaths. And coming out the same way we went in. One hand on your back, other hand slowly coming up and having a seat. Staying here, keeping the knees together. Feet are on the outsides of your hips. If this doesn't feel good for you, again, you can take a bolster, a block, a cushion, whatever you have to place under the hips to give you some height, to take some pressure off your knees. If this feels good for you, taking the hands back, keeping the arms straight, lifting the chest, breathing here. And then maybe coming onto your forearms. Again, keeping the chest lifted. Being mindful if your knees are coming apart, staying here. If you can keep them together and this feels comfortable for you. Coming all the way down onto your back. And maybe grabbing opposite elbows, finding a slight back bend. And slowly coming out the same way you went in. Coming back onto your forearms. Pausing here. Back onto your hands. Slowly coming up. Sending your legs out long in front of you. Giving them a little shake. And inhale, lifting the arms up. Exhale, folding forward into a forward fold. Again, we're going to make this a dynamic stretch instead of a static stretch. So every inhale, keeping the spine lifted and straight, and every exhale, rounding the spine. So naturally in a forward fold, we want to bend our spine because it can usually get us down a little bit lower. But if you keep the spine straight and the chest lifted, you'll notice you can feel the stretch a little bit higher towards your glute and your upper hamstring. So staying here, keeping the chest lifted, spine straight, and exhale, rounding the spine. Pulling yourself down a little bit further. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold forward and hold here. Inhale, come all the way up, arms stayed lifted. Right knee bends, right foot on the outside of the left knee. You can keep your left leg long or you can bend it towards the right side, being mindful both of your seat bones stay grounded. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, twisting to the right side. Right hand comes out behind you like a kickstand. Gaze goes over your right shoulder. Every inhale, lengthening the spine. Every exhale, twisting a little bit deeper. Inhale, arms come back up, finding a slight counter twist. And slowly switching sides. You can keep the right knee extended or bend it in if both of your sit bones are able to stay grounded. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, twisting to the left. Every exhale, seeing if you can twist a little bit deeper. Inhale, arms come back up. Exhale, finding a slight counter twist. Bending both knees out in front of you, soles of the feet stay on the ground. And slowly lowering all the way down to the ground, immediately moving up into bridge. Hips lift high. Once the hips are lifted, starting to move the shoulder blades in. Arms can stay long on your sides. You can grab your ankles if that feels good for you. Or you can interlace your hands underneath you, bringing the shoulder blades in a little bit more. Every inhale, see if you can lift the hips a little bit higher, really squeezing the glutes. And exhale, release. Taking a breath here. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, pushing the hips back up to bridge. Holding here for 3 breaths. Every inhale, lifting the hips a little bit higher. Being mindful your knees aren't moving out, keeping them in. Exhale, lowering all the way down. Taking a breath here. Inhale 1 more time. Moving the hips up to bridge or moving into full wheel if that's available to you. Holding here for 3 breaths. And slowly lowering all the way down. Left leg extends out long. Right knee pulls into chest. You can rock your knee side to side. And then pulling your right knee towards your right armpit, towards the ground. And with the help of your left hand, pulling your right knee towards the left side. Right arm extends out long, gaze falls to the right, finding a supine twist. Being mindful here that both of your shoulders remain grounded on the floor. It's okay if your right knee doesn't fall all the way down to the floor, as long as your shoulders remain grounded. And untwisting. Right leg extends out long, left knee hugs into chest, rocking your knee side to side. And then hugging the knee in towards your left armpit, pulling your knee towards the floor, finding hip expansion on your left side. And with the help of your right hand, bringing the left knee over towards the right side. Left arm comes out, gaze falls to the left, finding a twist. Two more breaths here. Noticing if this side is any different from the other. Acknowledging that, accepting it. Untwisting, bending both knees in, grabbing the outsides of your feet, moving into happy baby. Actively pulling the knees towards your mat with the help of your biceps. Maybe rocking side to side, giving your spine a nice massage. I always crack my toes in this pose. It's a really bad habit. And maybe finding a slight curl to your lips. This is called happy baby for a reason, so really finding your inner child here, taking up as much space as you need to. So really rocking side to side, maybe straightening out your legs, really just rolling around here. And when it feels good for you, hugging both knees in towards your chest, giving yourself a big hug, tucking the chin to chest, squeezing here, and releasing to Shavasana. Legs extend out long, arms rest at your sides, palms facing up. Taking any last movement that you need to. You're welcome to pause the video and stay here. To conclude our practice, we're going to take a big inhale, arms reach up overhead. Finding a total body stretch. Really lengthening out through the fingertips and the toes. And on your exhale, hugging the knees in one more time. Rolling towards the right side or the left side, with whatever is more comfortable for you. Pausing here for just a moment. And coming back up to a seated position. Keeping the eyes closed, hands come to heart center. Pausing for a moment of gratitude. Gratitude for this practice. Gratitude for yourself, for showing up for yourself today. Giving yourself love and care and compassion through this practice. Together we'll take a big inhale and exhale, side out. Slightly bowing the head. The light and divinity in me sees, honors, and acknowledges the light and divinity in each and every one of you. Namaste. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you for sharing your practice with me.